Hey, this is Dr. Tang with whatsyourobsession.com, and it's a bit of a rarity today, a DC Direct review. Now, DC Direct, I used to buy a lot of their statues, but they started moving away from the path of statues I traditionally like, and they started offloading those more to Kotobukiya and Sideshow. But when I saw they were re-releasing one of my favorite dioramas of all time, the Batman vs. Killer Croc, I absolutely had to pre-order it. Now, the re-release here was $249.99, suggested price, and about 16.5 inches high. The original one came in a more blue, the traditional blue color scheme, and this one comes in the black one. And I believe Killer Croc also had some different coloration, although since I haven't seen the original one in a while, I'd be hard-pressed to tell you what the differences are. Now, the sculpt is still just as phenomenal as ever. It is super dynamic. There's so much crazy detail work going on there. It is really intense, and you can see why the original version of the statue shopped like $700 or $800 super quickly once it's sold out. It is just one of the best Batman statues, and definitely the best Batman diorama to date. Killer Croc looks absolutely nuts. Just the way the battle damage, all the stuff flying around, the Gotham sewer grate. You've really got a lot going on there. And when you look at detail work, like say the wraps that actually look like fabric despite being sculpted, and like the cut on Batman's leg that you can see some of the armor underneath, looks wonderful. Scrapes on the base, the skulls, all the variation in the rocks, and definitely Killer Croc's skin. All of it is super intense and just looks amazing. One of the best sculpts I've seen in a long time. But the paint is where there are a couple issues. The original was blue, like I mentioned, but it also had a lot more shading on some of the comic-y areas, like the pouches and so on. This one, they really went soft on the shading. It just seems kind of a lackluster effort compared to the original. Some things do look really good, Killer Croc's jeans and so on, but there's just a lot of areas where it seems lacking. If you look at Batman's mouth, it looks a lot more gummy, has more red going on than the original did, which is kind of distracting, unfortunately. They should have went with the more white look of the original, but you could fill that in easily yourself. I did just show off two issues I had with my statue. The wing had a crack on it, which is noticeable from pretty much every angle, unfortunately. So I'm going to be returning or getting a refund on this one. And there was some glue or paint residue, it looks like glue to be honest, underneath the collar. And unfortunately, from most of the angles this looks displayed at best, you can see that glue residue a lot more clearly than I would like. Now, it just seems to me that the paint job is sloppier than the original, which is unfortunate, but I think if you can paint even moderately decently, you could fix those up with very little issue and very little time. Since I prefer the black color scheme to the blue color scheme, that does make this one really appealing. So basically you've got a great statue with some unfortunately kind of common paint control, quality control issues. So you got to decide whether it's worth it going for that or trying to buy a used one. I would personally just try and find one on display or from a seller that's taken a lot of good photos. Although I'm really happy with that BBTS is helping me out with my return of my refund on this one. Hope you guys enjoyed the review. See you around.